French police have shot dead the man who attacked Strasbourg is Christmas market on Tuesday. The Interior Minister has said a police unit came across grave Chekatt in a Strasbourg street and shot him after he opened fire. 3 people have died following the shooting at the market and several more were seriously injured. Chekatt
29
had a string of criminal convictions in France and Germany and had become a radical Islamist in jail. Interior Minister Christophe Castaner said 3 police officers had spotted a man matching Chekatt's description on Rue de Lazaret in the Neudorf area of Strasbourg at 21:00 local time, 10:00 GMT. As the police moved to stop him, the suspect turned around and opened fire. They fired back and neutralized the attacker, said Mr. Castaner, who later went to the scene. Hundreds of French police and security forces had been searching for Chekatt. A large police operation had taken place in Neudorf earlier on Thursday, but ended apparently without results. 5 people have been arrested in connection with the attack. They include grave Chekatt's parents and 2 of his brothers. Strasbourg Mayor Roland Ries said that finding Chekatt meant the worried people of his city would now be able to return to a normal life. Mr. Castaner thanked the security forces in a tweet. Face Opia, Vuadas on la Mailer, Mercy, Chin Strasbourg Pic, Twitter, COMCGBZRFX end of Twitter post by @Castaner at about
20点
local time,
19点
GMT. A man opened fire close to the famed Christmas market near Place Chekatt, which attracts thousands of visitors. France's anti-terror prosecutor, Armand Heights, said the man had shouted, "Allahu Akbar," God is greatest as he opened fire. The suspect was armed with a gun and a knife and escaped the area after commandeering a taxi. Mr. Heights said, as he fled he came into contact with 5 soldiers. Mr. Heights said, and began firing at them. The soldiers fired back, apparently hitting him in the arm. The attacker boasted to the taxi driver that he had killed 10 people, and also said he had been injured during a firefight with the soldiers. He ordered the taxi driver to drop him near the police station in Neudorf. When he got out of the vehicle, he fired at police officers before escaping. Chekatt was born in Strasbourg and was already known to the security services. He was the subject of a FHS, a watch list of people who represent a potential threat to national security. He had 27 convictions for crimes, including robbery spanning France, Germany and Switzerland, and had spent considerable time in prison. As a result, police were seeking him on Tuesday morning in connection with another case, but did not find him at home. A search of his apartment in Neudorf revealed a grenade and rifle, 4 knives, 2 of which were hunting knives and ammunition. The Islamic State group's self-styled news agency, AMAC, on Thursday said that Chekatt was an Islamic State soldier who had carried out the operation in response to calls for targeting citizens of coalition countries fighting its militants in Syria and Iraq. The death of Kamal Nashband, originally from Afghanistan, was announced on Thursday. The father of 3 died in hospital. His mosque announced that his funeral will take place after Friday prayers. Svetobi CSD Kamal Nashband, P. 3 infants, most well known as Q-San Office for Rare Lucie, Vendredi 14 December, La Grande Mosquée et Sultan B. Strasbourg, APRS La Prairie du Vendredi
13点
Il Syrian Hamosinati Reinu Salman, Strasbourg My Peak, Twitter,
COMLK6
end of Twitter post by @GMA Yab Sultan, a retired bank worker aged
61
from Strasbourg, was also killed in the attack, according to a figure. The 3rd victim is believed to be a Thai tourist who was on holiday with his wife, Anupong Suebsamarn,
45.
has been named by Time media as one of the dead. The US Senate has voted to withdraw its military aid for Saudi Arabia as war on Yemen and to blame the kingdom, its crown prince, for the murder of a journalist. The historic vote is the first time any chamber of United States Congress has agreed to pull its forces from a military conflict under the 1973 War Powers Act. Some of President Donald Trump's fellow Republicans defied him to pass the measure with Democrats by Subtract 41, but the resolution is seen as largely symbolic and unlikely to become law. The non-binding War Powers Resolution calls upon President Trump to remove all American forces engaging in hostilities in Yemen, except for those combating Islamist extremists. The Senate then unanimously passed a resolution blaming Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman for Washington Post reporter Jamal Khashoggi's murder in October, and insisting that the kingdom hold accountable those responsible. The US chose to cease refueling Saudi warplanes last month, and first state its resolution, if it were ultimately passed into law, would prohibit that practice from resuming. Independent Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, who co-sponsored the measure with Republican Mike Lane of Utah, failed the vote. Today we tell the despotic government of Saudi Arabia that we will not be part of their military adventures, he said. He described the outcome as a signal to the world that the United States of America will not continue to be part of the worst humanitarian disaster on the face of the earth. Republican Senator Bob Corker told MSNBC, if he was before a jury, the Crown Prince, he would be convicted, in my opinion, in 30 minutes. Analysis by Barbara Platt, BBC State Department correspondent. The two resolutions send a strong message that for a majority of senators, the status quo with Saudi Arabia is no longer acceptable. They value the strategic relationship but are deeply uneasy about the leadership of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. They viewed his foreign interventions with growing concern, especially the human cost of the war in Yemen. But it was the grisly murder of Jamal Khashoggi that tipped the scales. It dramatically increased the support for the resolution to withdraw its military support for the Saudi-led campaign in Yemen, something that failed to pass earlier in the year. Many senators saw the Khashoggi killing as the blatantly egregious act of an ally that felt immune from rebuke, and they were dismayed when the administration stood staunchly by the prince without censure, even though the CIA concluded he probably ordered the killing. Senators want to see the administration shape the alliance as the senior partner and enforce red lines. Senior Republican Senator Bob Corker noted recently that much of the bipartisan activism in the Senate has been fueled by a perception that there is no balance between values and interests in the administration. Its policies. President Trump has vowed to veto the measure, and it is unlikely right now to pass the House of Representatives, which on Wednesday blocked a vote on the matter. But Senator Sanders said he expects the resolution to succeed once Democrats formally take over control of the House in January following their midterm elections victory. The Trump administration had argued the bill would undercut its support for the Saudi-led coalition against the Iranian-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen. White House officials have emphasized its economic ties to the kingdom. Mr. Trump's advisor and son-in-law, Jared Kushner, has continued to cultivate ties with the prince. According to the US media, earlier on Thursday, the warring sides met in Sweden, where they agreed to hold a ceasefire in the port city of Hodeida, a key entry point for aid and food imports. After the deal was reached, negotiators for both parties shook hands to applause, though they later expressed skepticism. United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres said he hoped this would be the starting point to bring nearly 4 years of civil strife to a close. Since hostilities began in 2014, thousands of civilians have been killed, and around 14 million people have been pushed to the brink of starvation. According to the UN, Saudi Arabia buys the bulk of its weapons from the United States, Britain and France. A bill to legalize abortion services in the Republic of Ireland has passed all stages of the Irish Parliament. On Thursday evening, the report and the final stages of the bill passed in the Senate. Irish Senate reports Irish broadcaster RTÉ. The regulation of termination of pregnancy bill will now be given to the President to be signed into law.